Expo Canada.
Yeah!
Are y'all ready? Then make some noise and show all the love to John Boyega! Hold on. What's up? Oh, wait.
Wait. Good morning, everyone. How you doing?
We're here. We're super excited. How has the weekend been treating you thus far?
It's been dope. Yeah, I've been to Toronto a good few times, so it's always a vibe when I come down. So I've been meeting loads of different people.
Of course.
Signing some stuff. You guys are kind of honest and wild. I love it. Canadians gonna say what's on their mind in the nicest way.
I'm sorry.
I know. Oh yeah, it must have been you, mate. But it's been brilliant. All phenomenal city, phenomenal people. I love doing cons. I really do.
What's the noise for that, y'all? So I was telling them already, I'm super excited for this conversation. I've been a fan of yours since Attack the Block. And if you were like a real fan like I am, you know that's not the true origin, okay? We're talking acting in school. You first played a leper.
It was a very life-changing role.
Listen, that's what I'm here to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, that was my first ever acting thing that I did, was a school play.
That's awesome.
And it was based on the Anansi the Spider-Man series, which is basically, Jamaican Spider-Man.
Yes.
And one of the side characters was the leopard, who was cunning, and it was, very fixated and based on Caribbean law and culture. And I'm from London, so the Caribbean is a big part of our culture down there.
Absolutely.
So my teacher just said, "Yeah, John, you should be the leopard." I should have got the lead. I'll be honest with you. I should have got Nancy himself, but I think those stages I wasn't good enough.
What it is that in order to be the leader, you have to follow, and so they did that role so that way you could appreciate when you are the lead. You're like, I remember what it was like to not be there.
This guy works for Congress, man. Works for Congress, man. Brilliant. But no, it was that. That's what gave me the bug, and some of it was superficial. Like I thought, like the girls, they responded to me when I was on the stage. You know what I mean? you know when you're younger, you just get a little bit of attention. Before that, they never realized you were there. They never asked you anything, but they see you on stage, you become something else. I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna keep on doing this still. It could be nice, and then after that, I just learned what acting was, the craft, the people, the knowledge, and then I grew from there.
That's awesome. Makes you respect, y'all. That's cool. As a practitioner of the arts, obviously a fan of what that means to people, when you get that creativity at a young age, it gives some expression, some voice to kids. When it comes to you getting into acting, especially at that young age, and being able to kind of balance kind of the social norms of it all, was there anyone when you were younger that was kind of like, why do you want to do this? Like, are you sure this is something that you want?
Oh yeah, my parents. Because back home in Nigeria, I'm a dual citizen. I'm Nigerian and I'm also British. So back home in Nigeria, acting is seen kind of differently, especially in their day. There wasn't a robust industry to reference. There wasn't loads of money flowing through and fans that exalted these roles and stuff. So it was really just like a weird choice, especially to commit your life to it the way it was those days. So for me, my parents they were very curious. They weren't hating though. They still took me to auditions.
That's important.
But they took me to audition with that face that your parents give you when it's like, and I could see it behind my dad's eyes, like, ooh, this boy about to be broke for the rest of his life. But they still took me to auditions, supported what I wanted to do, and they quietly waited until it made sense. Yeah.
All right, so getting into Attack the Block, your role as Moses, like you became like my spirit animal, and you were infinitely younger than me, which made it really awkward. But when it came to this role, like how did this one fall into your lap? Like what was the audition process like? Did you even audition for this?
I did. Definitely those stages. I was doing loads.
Okay.
But I was just in the UK. I never come to the States yet. I didn't have American representation. And I joined a drama school, which was the first black drama school in London. It was founded by a guy called Femi Huggins. Letitia Wright came through there, Damson Idris, all that. So there's a good few of us from the British side that were trained at this drama school. And this drama school had an agency division. Basically, if you were good at the classes, members of staff will come in and be like, he probably gonna make us some money. So let's get him over to the agency side and start putting him up for auditions. So I did a few classes, didn't really get any agency response just yet. And then I heard about Attack the Block online.
Wow.
Yeah, I was also one of those people that signed up to absolutely everything online that showed you about casting details, open casting. I didn't care if I was an extra. I think I was an extra on an Andy Serkis movie.
What?
Yeah. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I was an extra.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was in the crowd putting my hands up. You can see like the corner of my finger just if you look closely. Like those were the kind of like I just wanted to be there. You know, it didn't matter what size role or anything about pay. It was just about being in the right environment to be open for any opportunity. And then the opportunity came in Nina Gold, the same casting director that so happened to cast me as Finn in Star Wars.
Yes.
So she came into my life and was just like, I think you're brilliant. I think you can make it to Hollywood. You need to audition for this movie called Attack the Block. And I said, what's this movie about? She was just like, oh, it's just basically about aliens that land in London and these kids need to protect it. I was like, where are they landing though? She was like, South London. I said, I can do that. One thing I can do, I can be a South man. And so from there, I read the script and I just love the vision of it. I've always believed that you could be in the world and not a part of it, and a part of the shenanigans. So I love the movie that represented sci-fi in a big way that usually goes to a cul-de-sac, you know, in America, or goes to like every single major city. You know, for some reason, these aliens are tourists. Like, yeah, they're like landing near like, you know, these monumental areas. But to know that there was a movie that was going to be like, you know what, it's like, you know, aliens landing in the hood in Toronto, aliens landing in the hood in Detroit. It's like, we ain't those ET kids. We ain't about to make friends with you, boy. Kick your face in first, and then deal with the consequences after. And I just like the vibe of that script. I was just like, that is a cool, you know, perspective, and I feel people would enjoy it. And so I ended up auditioning for a bit, open casting auditions, and then joined the agency. They got me the professional auditions, and I booked the part.
Dude, absolutely brilliant, bro. Make some noise for it. How hard was it to really kind of make that connection? Because I believe, like without a shadow of a doubt, that y'all all knew each other from like birth. Y'all locked in so tight, and it was so wonderful. Was there anyone in particular that you did really kind of connect with a little bit more than the others that just kind of, you know, y'all created this friend bond?
I'll say that's Fran's job.
Hey!
Fran's my guy. Yeah, Fran's my guy. You know, obviously now he's a DC hero. Quite well with his career, Firestone Action. But Franz was my guy because at that stage we were like 16,
right?
So you know he was a chill guy and then he was brave. I mean, we were shooting in certain areas that in London it's a bit dodgy.
Gotcha.
You don't want to take your camera equipment down there. So I remember there were real moments where we were like confronted on set by locals. My boy Franz, he stood 10 toes. I was like, yeah, this is like a film. Don't play with the boy, you know what I mean? So, and the rest of them were brilliant too. I mean, Alex Esmel had been his first role. Simon Howard had been his first role. But the chemistry was really based on us really just loving the script and being excited to show a side to London that we believe people hadn't seen before. But then the aspiration was just to make a good film, to enjoy it, and then to see what happens. And then once the movie released, you know, the United States of America was like, we really enjoyed this movie. Sony Screen Gems at the time picked it up. I think it was Chris Brown and Rihanna at the time. They did a screener for Attack the Block.
Yes.
And then they started telling everybody about it. And then the movie just got sold based on their word of mouth alone. And
Not
then
just their word of mouth. You guys were awesome in it.
No, we were, but sometimes you need that.
I mean, you get that push.
Them celebrities give you that push. You know what I mean? So I was very grateful for it at the time. And that gave our movie the opportunity to be seen by people from other cultures. I mean, the Americans did ask us to put subtitles. You guys didn't. That's why I love it. You guys love it. No, we can understand what they're saying. You know what I mean? But in the States, we had subtitles. But the movie got out and had a great, massive cult following. And that's what gave the movie, the legs today to stand tall. You know what I mean?
1,000,000%. As an American, I want to apologize.
It's all good. It's all good.
No. We have a lot to apologize. I'll start with asking for subtitles on Attack the Block. But obviously, like the roles of sci-fi have hit so very strongly for you. Is that a genre that you like living in? Maybe like creative capacity.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's mainly because I like filming sci-fi. Filming sci-fi is fun. I don't care what these other actors are talking about. It was so hard to see the role. Bro, explosions around you. Harrison Ford running and shooting and gunning and that shit like.
Since you brought up Harrison, we gotta get into Star Wars. You Star Wars fans. Now, with all due respect to the sequels, like all due, the best piece was the video of you watching the trailer of The Force Awakens for the first time. Listen, when I'm feeling low in life, I turn that on. Because that right there, sir, I gotta tell you, everything that any fan has ever appreciated about that franchise, you embody in that moment. So I got this. So were you a fan of Star Wars before you joined? I gotta ask.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in '92.
Yes.
So the prequels, they were my main Star Wars movie. It's like, damn, Yoda, so acrobatic. Then my drama teacher said, "Oh, you know there's more, right?" I'm like, "Oh, it's coming out." No, in the '70s. What?
They had movies back then?
Yeah, movies back then. For real, I was alive, for real. And then I went back and I was totally engrossed in the Star Wars universe. I started to play Force Unleashed, the first game. I played the sequel. Started playing Battlefront, was collecting figures, all of that. So then to get the call one day that, we want you to audition for Star Wars, I lost my mind. Because I was just like, I know Star Wars. I know Star Wars and I know Star Wars lore. So it was so exciting just to be given the opportunity to audition.
To kind of keep it 1,000,000%, Star Wars is not necessarily known for featuring as many characters that look like us. So you take on that role was something huge. There was going to be a lot of scrutiny, a lot of responsibility. Was there anything about the experience where you go, I don't know that I want this? Or was there ever a moment where you're like, I don't know if this was the right choice?
At the beginning, no. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't grow up in a lovely environment. My parents didn't have the opportunities that I have today at my age. My parents mostly sacrificed their own ambition to provide for me and my sisters. So to get an opportunity, I was like, "Hey, JJ, where do you want me to be? I'll be one of those aliens in the Oprah. I'll be one of those." Yeah. At that time, I was hungry, and I didn't comprehend the masses and the fact that there were people from so many different cultures, so many faces would watch you and they would know your name and you wouldn't know theirs. So that perspective, I didn't really think about that until the first announcement of John Boyega's in Star Wars, and then when I got that backlash, that the negative vibe, I remember going to my dad. I was just like, "What happened?" He's an African man. I said, "Yeah, I just announced I've been cast in this, but I don't know, man, they're getting onto me with some racist comments, and some people and the letters to my agency office, a whole lot of journalists downstairs in my block of flats and shit. There was a whole lot going on. And my dad looked at me and said, "Why do you care?" I was like, "Yeah, because it just feels like," he was like, "Is this not what happens to celebrities? You are a celebrity now." Yeah. And that's when I looked at him and I was just like, "Oh, you right, bro." I went on Twitter and I said, to those who may concern, just get used to it. Because I let him know I signed on for 7 to 8 and 9. Yeah, I'm gonna be all up in this bitch. But it was growing pains. There were moments in between that where it got intense, where it got happy. It's 8 years of your life, so it's a variety of things. But at the end of it, I came to a conclusion that I was gonna mark my line in the sand. I wanted the fans to know my perspective, because also I was sick and tired of traveling and fans would come up to me and tell me stuff, and I would have to act as if I didn't agree. I felt like I was lying to you guys. People would come up to me like, "Hey, they did Finn dirty, bro. They did Finn dirty, bro." And I'd be like, "No, they did the best they could." After that last contract, I took the mask off. But it wasn't in the negative way. I feel like that's the misconception. I feel like if you love anything, like if you love anime, you're debating your favorite anime. If you love movies, you're debating about it. And for those who love Star Wars, there's no way you love Star Wars and you haven't had a debate, even if it's who's better, Mace Windu or Obi-Wan. You have these back and forths, and I don't think because you dislike a specific side to something, that means you don't like the entire year. Exactly. So I became a villain for a bit, and told Oscar, I was like, "Hey man, they're getting on to me because I'm saying some stuff I'm not supposed to say." And Oscar's just there like, "I know."
You were saying on Steve wanted to.
Okay.
You keep going.
Yeah, you keep going.
But truthfully, what that does is it opens up the opportunity later on for them to go, "You know what? You're right, and there are spaces and places we can kind of revisit this in a better way."
Yeah, I mean, that was the intention, and you want to be able to. I want to be able to have that relationship with people who follow me or who admire my work. I'm not really used to that whole. I wasn't really raised in an area where I have to withhold my words because it's millions of people in front of you. I want them people. The whole room is wrong. I'm gonna tell everybody you're wrong. And I want people to be like that too, because we're all individuals. We all have stuff we're embarrassed about. We all have insecurities, but it's like, gives a fuck, man. Everybody shits, right? So it was also nice for me to learn that there was something I needed to fine tune, which was I told myself, you're giving too much energy to the minuscule fans who don't necessarily get you, and you're ignoring the mass of fans who support you. And I didn't want to do that no more. So
that's a summary. Wrapped up in a quick little clip. That's such a very real idea of how easy it is to get lost in negative spaces. What a Star Warsy thing to think about. How the dark side can be this thing that seems so loud, but there's really only two.
Yeah,
that's all there is. It's just two. There can be so many more Jedi than that. We should focus on that part because that's how you build a rebellion.
Right.
Dude, you are right there. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
And I think that this is something that's super important too, because not only are you making fantastic roles or performing in these fantastic roles, you're making a way for yourself and others to tell great stories. Why was that important to you in your career?
Because I think Star Wars is the key to that, because I would be on set and then for some reason there'll be a convoy of like 12 cars and like people in suits, and I would think something serious is going on. I go to Daisy, "Do you see one of them cars out there?" Some of the cars will have American flags in front of them and shit. Like, this is some government stuff. What's going on? And then they would all, whoever came out of that convoy would all go to one tent, and in this tent they would have all these discussions. I pick and choose when to show humility. Right. I had to go and see what they was doing. Yeah, I had to go see it. And then Daisy seats and I would listen in, and I'm thinking I'm about to hear something major, like it would be like, okay, we have to decide what color the lightsaber is. Does Luke die this way or does he live? You know, there would be a lot of these big conversations about the decision making of these characters. And so for me, I was just kind of like, I want to be in the tent. That's right. I want to be in the room where I have some kind of creative say, and I know there's many creatives out there. So you know that part where it's like, damn, I could make a cool ass anime, or absolutely. You know what I mean. And so it just kind of forced me to develop. And once I started developing, I came across some IP that people thought was dead in Pacific Rim. And I was like, I was like, that's how I'm going to launch my company. Big robots. Yeah. And you know, it's fun and it gives you the opportunity to gain some finances to then start your journey. And Pacific Rim was our first movie we ever co-produced. I mean, it was crazy because the budget was 150 million. No pressure. But there was such collaborators in Mary Perrin and Kel Poiter, like legendary, and that gave me the stepping stone to now be in a position to produce and call Don Cheadle and say, get down here fast, I've got an offer for you. I was like, I've always wanted to do that. So it's been good so far.
That's fantastic. What is the project that's coming out through your production company right now that you can tease to us?
We've got the Attack the Block sequel, man. That's what we do. See, I had to wait. I remember the first time I spoke to Joe about the idea of an Attack the Block sequel, and I just had I saw a clip actually from the London riots. Yeah. It was of a bunch of just loads of teenagers out in front of, I think it was like Buckingham, somewhere really posh. They were just fucking shit up. I was like, this looks like Attack the Block. In a second, there's something Attack the Block-esque about it. And I sent it to Joe Cornish, and Joe Cornish was just like, yeah, I'll get inspired and I'll write. Funny enough, Joe Cornish was also an extra on The Last Jedi.
Really?
Yeah, when I'm making my big rebel speech, Joe Cornish is right there with a rifle, just nodding like. And we spoke about it on The Last Jedi set, and I was kind of like, you know, we spoke about our vision and idea for it, what would happen in the sequel, how London has changed since the first movie came out. And I just told him, just wait a second. If I start looking lopsided in the face after a few years, we might not be able to do it. But let's wait. Look all right.
All right.
Okay. Not like before, but it's still there. So I can still play noises.
You still got noises.
Yeah, I still play noises. So then we just went back into to revisit, and he has written a phenomenal script.
That's awesome.
Phenomenal script.
Make some noise for questions here. This one's a good one. Take your time with thinking this one through. What was your favorite scene to film across the Star Wars sequel trilogy?
Damn.
Yeah.
They didn't even go film by film. I would say it would, oh man, the whole Finn and Rey chase sequence. Okay. That was lit, bro. I had an amazing time. Yeah, it was fun about it. I felt like I was like a movie star. You know, I've been hustling for so long to get some kind of opportunity to be in a position where it was just like, you're gonna run from A to B to C, and there's just gonna be explosions around you. We had Brian on BB-8's puppet right next to us with helicopters flying all around. I was like, nah, this is show business for real. This is it. And it was cool because they put lasers on the ground, and you have to follow the path of the run so you don't run into an explosion. Right. I was running close to it. That's what Bruce Willis would do. That's how I was feeling. And Daisy was so phenomenal. We were both enjoying it. It was extreme. It was like out in the desert in Abu Dhabi, and then additional explosions. And then I remember the last hour of the day of us shooting that sequence, you know, because that sequence took like 2-3 weeks to shoot. JJ just said, oh, I want to take you guys somewhere. I'm like, okay, cool. And me and Daisy got in the buggy, and JJ was just driving. Then on the horizon, it's just a life-size Millennium Falcon there. I was like, hey, no way, JJ Abrams. He was like, told you I was going to build it. You know, he would have a joke because I auditioned for Star Wars for 9 months. So he would go, I told you we're in Star Wars, because I never believed it. So it was just cool to see how much went into actually building the realistic things like in real life. And that just made me go, Mama, I think I made it.
Okay, so this next one says, in recent interviews, you mentioned you expect Finn and Rey to develop a rivalry similar to Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. How would you have liked to see that storyline play out?
I don't know. I just thought that would be,
amazing.
Yeah,
yes.
but also when I think about it, it would be copycat-esque. But sometimes I just want to see things over and over again with different characters.
Yeah.
Especially in Star Wars, there's something about the heartbreak of a brotherhood or a friendship that goes in opposite directions that I always think is cool in Star Wars lore. But I don't know. I just thought that would be the case as a Star Wars fan coming in. I'm like, these two are friendly. There's no way in Star Wars you're friends for the whole trilogy. Yeah, there's got to be something that happens. And with each trio, there was something. There was something that could have broken them up that they had to work through. So I just thought that would be the case with
Okay, see, now you got me thinking. You got my wheels turning. I mean, obviously, with the idea that Rey was a Palpatine in any sort of fashion, you're like, oh snap. But considering that you had joined the First Order initially, if you went back and you were like the bad guy, that would be the thing that no one would have seen coming. Where you go, you know what? I disagree. I've been on the other side. I disagree with you now.
Yeah.
And now I'm going
to. And also, like, what? Ray was like low key rude and Rise of Skywalker. Like low key, like every single time there was an intention to do something, she'd be like this. I'm gonna leave. I'd be like, wait, what? Like this was like in the on the Star Destroyer phase. Yeah.
We need help here.
So I see, and I like that actually about her character. I like the choice for her to sometimes just be like, you know what, I'm sorry, friends, I gotta go and do what I gotta do, because she felt like there was a bigger purpose, and she didn't entirely know it was the Palpatine connection. But I would be like, being Finn in that situation, he kind of took offense to that, man. And then you kissed the guy that was trying to kill us. All these years. This is not the resistance. This is not how the Force works. But I love that about writers. Your characters can't be perfect, and they can't always make the perfect decisions. So from that imperfection, I'm like, what conflicts could possibly, come up with this? I mean, Rey and Poe already had their back and forth squabbling, but like, I know for Finn it would feel deeper because it was like, we wrote the Millennium Falcon out of Jakku together. we was like this.
Like that.
And then imagine me just seeing you kiss the enemy.
Kylo Finn. That's how it happens.
So I was just like, that could be something that could have been a motivating factor. But who knows? I mean, I guess it depends what they do with the next installment to see how they're going to mark up the story.
They need to hire your production company to explore that. I'm just going to throw that out.
If they do, you guys are getting all the public.
Oh my God, this was a great question. You balance indie films like They Clone Tyrone, which is amazing.
Thank you.
Yes, with big productions, how do you select your projects at this point in your career?
It still kind of remains the same. It's just about the story, the character, and then making sure that I'm working with a great director and the creatives around me to collaborate to make something good. And then if the vision is big, we need to know what the finances are to see whether we could, fund something and bring that imagination to life. So it's just a combination of those things that pretty much hasn't changed since the beginning of my career. Yeah.
Well, that production, is there anyone in particular that you linked up with that kind of brought out the best in your acting in a real way? Come on.
Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, and especially Tiana Paris as well. Yeah. I think they were very, very welcoming, and we didn't have much time to have rehearsals. So the chemistry that you see is just whatever we naturally, brought up when we met each other. But Jamie is naturally professional, very lovely and charismatic, as we all know. And Tiana is a phenomenal actress. So the combination of us three, I feel like we made something magical just of Joel Taylor, our director, making a win. But I learned a lot from Jamie Foxx. I learned a lot, and it wasn't necessarily acting, but between takes, who he maintained himself to be, and what he represented to the cast and the crew and the locals and the many people we met around Atlanta when we were shooting. It was inspirational to watch. And I grew up with Jake, you know.
Of course, right?
So sometimes I was just looking at the back of his head like, Fox, Ray. Alright, they go like there. You know, there'll be fan moments where you have that. It's just such an inspiration. That's
awesome. I love that. Kind of leading off that first bit, are there any directors you haven't worked with yet that you're eager to collaborate with?
I would say Dee Reese. She worked on Mudbound.
Yeah.
With Mary J. Blige. She's someone I really like. I would love to work with her. Obviously, the biggest side to that is Christopher Nolan would be dope. That would be cool. And who's the dude that is directing Robert Pattinson on good Batman movies?
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves would be dope too, man. He's got great vision, and also I can tell that he gives notes very directly and has a range, with his style.
I mean, the Batman has a lot of opportunities within that world. Is there a particular character that you would,
I don't know, man.
You don't know?
Yeah, but I mean, if they bring the Bat family, I'm sure there's a young man in there somewhere. Somewhere.
I mean, I do know that you got an affinity for Red Hood.
That's my guy right there.
Come on.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of various roles in there that could be cool. But man, DC and Marvel right now, they are hot. You see Superman? Come on. I had a good time. Oh, I really liked Fantastic Four. Marvel is low-key hurting me for a bit. Yeah, just low-key. I can't wait for them because after Endgame, it is really hard to call your movie Endgame and then start it. And then do it again. I don't think they should do that again. You stretch out. So to see where they're at now is pretty darn cool. Yeah.
Okay. What advice would you give to a young actor from similar backgrounds who are trying to break into the industry today?
Train. Because it really doesn't matter if you book the part if you don't have your skill sets together.
Right.
I think that if you want to go to the highest level of filmmaking, it is what is expected of you is crazy.
Of course.
I mean, you doing 13-hour days, 14-hour days, and then after that, there's new pages for tomorrow. So you have to have a relatability to your talent that is meticulous, and you have to be obsessed, and you have to be a professional long sufferer. By that, I mean you have to know how to get no's and be okay with it. You can't see no's as a dictation of life and where you're going to end up. You kind of have to see no's as a way to edit your strategy and approach. And that's one thing I'll tell young actors, man, have fun out there.
Make some noise for that. We see the star, we see the glitz, the glam, we don't understand the true work that goes into it. And I love that you kind of bring that to the forefront so that there's an honesty to it. You're like, listen.
Yeah, you have to be because the audience they're intelligent. They read emotions. They've been through things themselves that makes them relate to certain characters. So when you don't get it quite right, the audience knows, and the audience, whether you want industry, where the audience sometimes with no experience of our industry, they really have a say. So you just have to make sure you're prepared and ready. You don't want the director shouting at you, man. That's not a good thing.
I love it. This one says, you've been outspoken about issues of representation in the film industry. Have you seen meaningful progress since you first raised these concerns?
I didn't look to see meaningful changes. I just decided to get active. Yeah. Also felt like I was talking too much about it.
That's deep.
Because I think I had a big enough platform for people to know my perspective for my lifetime, basically. Because the digital footprint is the digital footprint. But I actually came to the point where I was kind of like, in order for this actually to land to the people need to see an example. And if all you're doing is talking, and there's a stage for that, there's a time for everything, but if all you're doing is talking and it never advances into an active work, right, then what am I really saying? So I was kind of like, you know what, let me start a production company, create these opportunities myself, collaborate with everybody, and create these projects that I am talking about as an example. So when people see my project, just go, oh, that's what he means. Yes. It's more easier to pitch your ideas, especially to something that's more sensitive, by getting active and limiting too much work.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Make some noise for that.
The shoulder.
I love this one. You won the BAFTA Rising Star Award in 2016. Make some noise. How did that early recognition impact your career trajectory?
The phone calls are, start getting phone calls from some special people.
Got you.
And which I definitely thank God for. I'm very appreciative of that, because people just see that you have been recognized, especially by an institution that people trust in to find new talent. I think BAFTA has done a phenomenal job in highlighting people before they got famous. Tom Holland, a few Letitia Wright, Daniel Kaluuya, a few people, they kind of tracked it. They were like, these guys are going to be in some stuff. So to hear my name, and it was Jack O'Connell presented it to me. Jack O'Connell was the villain in Sinners.
That's right.
And
So good.
that's my guy right there. And he's the one that presented me my award. So that felt like a 360 moment. But it was phenomenal for what it done to my career, because it gave me the opportunity to explore range.
Right.
Star Wars is an amazing opportunity, but what tends to happen is you're in a franchise, and that's the only thing people see you in. So you just go, yeah, I've only seen him in Star Wars, and that's it. But I started to do these films in between that gained a lot of traction, where I got to play completely different people, whether it be different accent, different walk, different talk. I got to get my Eddie Murphy back, especially in They Clone Tyrone. I was like an 82-year-old man. So doing roles like that gave me the versatility tag, and now directors who would have usually reach out to me were like, John, do you know how to play yes. And it changed the conversation in that way, for sure.
Big shout out to that one. And even your portrayal in Detroit was so phenomenal, because, again, if I had not known that you were from the UK, I would have absolutely believed that you were from Detroit. Like, it was
I got that a few times here in Canada, like, hell, I didn't know he was from London. And it's like, that's just Tom Holland is like that as well. Hey, Tom, hope you're good. Tom's like that as well. And Daniel Kaluuya, Damson Idris, is meticulous fixation on learning the American accent, and then also learning different territories in America before you start to join their industry. So, it is what it is.
Good work. What has been your most challenging role to date?
I would say They Clone Tyrone. Yeah, They Clone Tyrone, because I was playing 4 different people.
Yeah.
In one project. As I said, one of them was an 80-something-year-old man. And I know I look mature, but I ain't there yet. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, I don't crack still. Yeah. But it was a lot to get into. My posture had to change. I would say, and not in a creepy way, I watched loads of YouTube videos with just old men. There's certain subtle things that old men do that they don't know that they're doing. Especially like when they point at something, sometimes their fingers be lazy. Like, there. And it goes down. There's just certain subtle things that they do that's like, are you aging, brother? You know what I mean?
Just like every
And they point down there when they do that. And sometimes it's just, there's something in the sitting and in the turning that they do in the posture. And so I just had to learn it. So it was 6 weeks every day just watching old men do shit. Just watching 82-year-old guys having interviews, and the way they would move, the maturity and the voice, the gruff, and all of that. And I remember Jamie and Joelle thinking that they were like, "Oh, we're probably gonna go for another actor to do this part." And I was just like, "Okay, just wait, let me do the read through.
Right.
Once you see the read through, you can let me know whether I can do it. Right. And if when you watch They Clone Tyrone at the end, it's the old guy, whatever. After all these years, it's good to see you, Tyrone. And I threw it in front of Jamie, and Jamie was like this. If you know Jamie, he just busts out the N-word, was like, how the hell you do that? And I was just like, so you think I can do it? He was like, yeah, you can do it. Okay, cool. So that was part of it. It was super challenging, and just to play those roles, felt like Peter Parker when he first got his powers. That shot of Tobey Maguire, when he just looks at his hands and he's like, I have some skills. I can do it. And obviously through the support, and I wouldn't have been able to pull it off without the dialect coaches, my director Joel Taylor, even the crew with their help and support. You know, some people would come up to me. I remember Jay from catering. Hello, Jay from catering. She told me in one of my takes. She said, "You know, I love your work, but you're walking a little too fast." As that 82-year-old. You're right. and you know, just to know that they were that passionate about my portrayal, to give me notes, to help was amazing.
Yeah. That's part of that training right there that you were talking about. That's brilliant. Last one. This one's if you could play any superhero other than Red Hood, who would you be and why?
Hancock's son.
Word!
Don't laugh at my idea.
No.
Hancock is my guy.
Okay.
That superhero truly didn't give a shit.
Not at all.
We'll give it. He said, say that one more time.
That's not my name.
You know, I just like I like the off superhero, like, you know, because I love Marvel and DC, but it's super hard imagining myself in that. Not only because I have respect for the IP, Kevin Feige and everything they're doing down there, I don't like to fit myself into something that's that huge. I feel like they need to reach out to you and tell you how they see you. But in terms of just like superhero movies that are way more grounded, and, you know, like Chronicle and you know, those ones. Those are the ones I like because I actually get to make superhero decisions and I don't have to be too earnest like Superman, like saving the squirrel and shit.
Are you in my way?
I want to be that kind of superhero, you know, a little anti-hero too. So yeah, you know, it would maybe a new, fresh idea, or you know, maybe people that have worked on Marvel projects, like the Russo brothers, who go on to make their own maybe stuff like that. But for now, with the superhero Marvel DC, as soon as I see my boy, my mentor Robert Downey walk up to that chair, ain't nothing to do now. We got to wait to see what he's gonna do with it. Yes. Oh, no, we got this.
Expo Canada, join me in celebrating one more time.